Mr. Chair, we are now live.
Thank you very much, and good morning all. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Inuit Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. I'd like to introduce the members of the panel this morning, as well as the Secretary of the Board and the Assessor on record this morning. Via Zoom, we have Gail Anderson and Richard Whitbread joining myself as Chair today, Mike Caltruglu, and Prabdeep Kaur Pawar is the Assessor from the Department, and the Administrative personnel this morning is Twinkle Sharma. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing is concluded, you can leave the meeting. We'll be hearing an application for revision of the business assessment role in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act and the City of Winnipeg Charter. The matters for which revision is requested is described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it, and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if matter pertains to assessed value, or to Court of King's Bench if matter pertains to application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all evidence about the application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all of the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 1 through 7 on our docket today. Ms. Sharma, please affirm the assessors and the applicant's testimony.
Certainly. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Prabdeep Kaur Pawar.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to provide at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Trevor Smith.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to provide at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And good morning, both. So we are going to hear 7 items on our docket today. So Ms. Pawar, would you please give us your presentation for 1 Owen Street?
Sure. File number 245175. Address is 1 Owen Street. Business assessment ID is 35179. Owners is McGill Stephenson Company Limited, BCC Holding Limited. Total annual rental value is $251,460. Total area of all premises in the field today is 15,646 square feet. Overall ARV per square feet is $16.07. Premises ID 29651 has a base ARV is 214,507. Base ARV per square feet is $13.71. Total occupancy cost is $36,951, which becomes our annual rental value of $251,460. So I would like board to confirm the 2025 ARV of $251,460. The subject lease information shows that it is the owner occupied. On the page number 2, I have the description about the property. It has a total gross floor area is 20,293. Out of that, only 15,646 is under the appeal, which is associated to the Bridgewood Collision Center. And at the bottom of the page, I have an income and expense mailer screenshot, which shows that it is fully owner occupied. Page number 3, I have the picture overhead picture of the subject property. The subject property is at the corner of Owen Street and Pandora Avenue West. In the page number 4, I just noticed that the picture is not clear from the front. Shows that Red River Co-op, but the building is under appeal, is behind that store, which is the Bridgewood Collision Center. And the page number 5 and 6, I have the board's order for the realty, and where the board made a decision on the evidence presented by Assessment and Taxation Department and at the request of the applicant. So I pasted same VCD rent comparable which we presented in the realty. Basically the VCD rent comparables are separated by the location. So if we are looking for today's properties, mostly or all of them are on the Regent Avenue. So we are seeing the comparable number 1 to 13 have the average mean net rate is $17.85 and the median is $17.50. So that is the end of my presentation. Any questions are welcome. Thank you.
All right, so let me just ask a quick question before Mr. Smith gets started, because I want to understand. So this is addressed as Owen Street.
Yes.
But it actually, on the realty side, is addressed on Regent, correct?
No, its address is 1 Owen Street, but the realty, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, 1376 Regent Avenue West.
Okay, I was just confused by that. My apologies, I just wanted to make sure I'm understanding what I'm looking at.
I saw that too.
Mr. Smith, please go ahead, questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. And, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, you guys.
So I do have a few questions. So looking at, and just to help everybody on the panel, if we flip to page 3 of your brief there, you have outlined in red the whole realty assessment, which is 1376
Yes.
region, right? Okay, and the photos that you indicated on page 4 of the gas bar and the C-store, that is northwest corner there of that photo at the corner of Regent and Owen then, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And the property, or rather the building, the business assessment that we're dealing with is at the south end of that property. The building that would be on the southwest of that photo,
Yes,
correct?
Pandora and Owen Street. That's where it is.
Right on the corner of Pandora.
I just noticed later on whenever I was reading my brief that the picture got wrong, clicked. So then I said, okay, I will notify the board that way.
That's fine. And then just briefly flipping back to page 2. So this is the property description from the realty. So CMVCD, complete auto dealer, is the subject property being assessed for business purposes as a complete auto dealer?
Yes, it's in our system. It is whole property is a complete auto dealer, but this Bridgewood Collision Center is also classified as the auto dealer.
So it hasn't been separated out as CMVSR
No,
or anything, no, for business purposes either.
no, it is still in our system as the dealership, under the dealership category.
Okay, and I'll just ask this once at the beginning of the hearing. Have you had a chance to given workload, have you had a chance to inspect any of these properties?
I personally did not inspect any property, but few of them I visited because I'm living nearby the area, but not for the business purpose. I went and did inspection.
So did you see this one?
This one I saw.
Okay, so I think I know where Mr. Smith is going with this, so please go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to take up a lot of time on this, but so you haven't been inside the property, you've seen it from the street then, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. And the I won't get into it in detail on this property, but the rent comparables that begin on page number 7 through page number 9. These are all the same rent comparables that were used in the vehicle car dealership realty appeals.
Yes.
And they are all big box retail leases, correct?
Yes, true.
Okay, none of them are auto related.
I have not get a time to check each and every one, but we separated vehicle car dealership rent comparable as the retail. So I'm not 100% sure out of them how many are the vehicle service related dealership.
Okay.
But that's how it is separated by the location.
Okay, again, I won't get into it in detail on this one. It's more important on the others, perhaps. I have spent a lot of time on vehicle car dealerships, so we'll delve into that in some of the future ones. And then the decision that's in there, it stated verbal request from the applicant to confirm the assessment. Were you aware of the details behind that, I guess?
No, I am not aware of the
Okay.
details behind that.
Okay, those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Anderson, any questions at this point of the assessor?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, questions, sir?
I have none either, thank you.
Okay, and I do have a question. I just want to clarify. There is a supplemental coming on this, is there not?
I have not.
For the realty, so. Mr. Smith, sorry, I'm gonna bounce over to you for a moment. This is the one where the old dealership was torn down, correct?
That's correct.
And a new one was being built and is being built. Almost complete or is complete now.
Almost complete. Not quite complete.
So my memory is correct. All right. And Ms. Boir, you were just assessing the repair shop, basically.
Yes.
Okay. And that was where your questions were pointed, saying, okay, it's not an auto dealership.
Correct.
Fair enough. I think I have it straight now in my mind. And if I remember correctly, the reason for the value to be asked to be confirmed by you was that there was a supplemental coming. And there was a little bit of debate regarding that.
Yes, it's still pending at this time.
But it is going to come.
It is.
That's a fact.
It is coming, yes.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So yes, to that end, the realty appeal for the entire property, which is noted as 1376 Regent, was under appeal. As Mr. Chair mentioned, the auto dealership that was on site, older auto dealership, was torn down and a newer one is being erected. It's nearly complete. The reason we requested the confirmation of the assessment was that there is a supplemental due to come out on that property anytime. So the initial assessment did not matter, and frankly the building didn't exist anymore anyway that the realty was being based on. The initial or the original auto dealership on the site. So just to be clear, with regard to what we're looking at. I'll get you to flip to my page 6 as we're now in my report. And we have also outlined in red the entire site, which is 1376 Regent Avenue West. That is the realty parcel. Now that it obviously has several different buildings on site. It has the C-store and car wash located on the northwest corner. It formerly had the auto dealership located to the east of that, as you can see. And then the property that we're dealing with is 1 Owen Street, which is located on the southwest corner of that site at the intersection of Owen Street and Pandora. So that is the only property or building that we're looking at today, not the remainder of the site. And so that is our task today, to determine fair ARV for the subject property. Flipping forward to my page number 3, a bit of background on the property. Was built in 2005. It is an automobile repair facility. Now, when you look at realty, the site that has multiple properties, or rather multiple buildings on site with slightly different or different uses and configurations. There's a dominant one that it's assessed by, and that is the case here. The CMVCD is how it was assessed. I believe according to what we were hearing here, the realty is also, or rather the business is also being assessed as a complete auto dealer. The subject property, 1 Owen Street, is not an auto dealer. It wasn't formerly an auto dealer. It was built specifically as a collision repair center. And I have inspected the property a number of times. It has a small reception / office area on the southwest corner of it, as you can see from the photos on page 4. And then the remainder of the property is your standard wide open automobile service, automobile collision center. If you look at page number 5, there's further description of this if you wish to review what the interior is like. The site itself, we've already had a quick look at on page number 6. And as noted, the property shares the site with essentially 2 other business entities, one being the C-store car wash and the other being a newly built automobile dealership that will consume considerably more of the overall site. The location is shown on my page number 7 on Regent Avenue West. And we can skip forward. Now, I'll go into more detail with regard to automobile dealerships and the industry when we get into those. The subject property is not an auto dealership, so I will skip us forward to the valuation itself, beginning on page number 11. Now, we did quite a number of these properties here for business. So there is some text in here that is not directly applicable to the property as a standalone automobile service repair center. Some of that being on page 11, where we note how automobile dealerships should be viewed with regard to breaking them into 2 components, the retail showroom part being the front and the automotive service repair being the back. We're just looking at automotive service. So we can skip forward to my lease comparables, which are on page number 12. Now, intuitively, if you look at the use, the siting, the location, the build out, etc. of a complete auto dealer, which has a front showroom and a rear service and repair area versus strictly an automotive service and repair building, and the build out that they have, and the structure, etc., typical locations. It's intuitive that the rent for an automobile service facility would typically lie below that of what an overall auto dealer would be. And so we have treated it in that respect. We're looking only at automotive comparable comps here on page number 12. Our subject is 15,646 square feet. So what we've done is present auto comps throughout the city. Not all of them will be perfect in that they're on Regent, 15,000 square feet, built in 2023, et cetera. But what this does is give you a broader perspective of what auto service places lease for in the market. We're not showing you only the bottom end of the market here or anything of that nature. This is essentially the bottom to the top of what is out there. So I'll point you to a few as we look at these. Number one, 120 King Edward Street. This is a collision repair center, as is the subject, 15,000+ square feet, so very similar in size. Yes, it is older, but it has the same functionality of the subject. It's well located on Route 90, and it had a lease term beginning in 2018 for 5 years at a rate of $8.50 per square foot. So very similar in a lot of respects. That would probably renew in 2023 at a slightly higher rate than $8.50, but that is what the lease was when it was struck. Number two there, and we're not going to go through these one by one, but number two, also a auto repair place, a little larger, 17,000+ square feet, a little newer, built in 1979, also on Route 90, 2019 lease at $10.15 a square foot. So again, similar in size, inferior in location, etc. Then we get into some smaller ones, as you can see. I will point to numbers 4, 5, and 6. This is essentially an automobile strip mall that is located very close to the subject property. We have 3 leases there, all of them considerably smaller than the subject. Property was built in '87. We have leases in 2018 and 2019. Between 2,100 and 2,400 square feet, essentially 5-year terms. And we're looking at leases between $8.10 and $12 per square foot. Now, that's for units the size of, 2,000 to 2,400 square feet versus the 15,000 of the subject. 15,646. Now, obviously, economies of scale come into play. You'll have a lot more potential tenants for a smaller property such as that, and typically the rental rates will be somewhat higher for a smaller unit. The remainder of the comparables are there for you to view. They do range in size, age, location. I'm happy to answer any specific questions you might have on those. But the general overall range that you will see is from that low end of $7 or $8 per square foot up to the very top end of $13 per square foot. I will point out comparable number 9, which is the $13 per square foot. This is a nationally branded Fountain Tire location, automobile service. It is quite large at just under 9,000 square feet. But the critical thing to look at here is its location, 123 Fort. It's half a block north of Broadway and obviously 1 block in from Main Street in the main downtown area. So the rent that a landlord is able to charge there is significantly higher than you would find in more peripheral locations. So they're achieving $13 per square foot in that location. Being downtown, you can drop your car off, walk the 4 minutes to work, and walk back at the end of the day and drive home. Very convenient, obviously, and that leads to greater business and obviously the tenant willing to pay a higher rental rate. So there are a couple of automobile sales in there. This is not sales, so I won't look at that. If we skip forward to page 14, you can disregard the showroom retail that has been included here. That again, we're doing 8 properties or whatever it is today. This was simply not removed from this particular one, although it should have been. We're not relying on any of that information, as that is not what we're valuing. You skip forward to page 21, you can see the rental rate that we have applied. So looking at all of the information, we have a well-built structure. It's located on the rear of the site. It's not on Regent Avenue. It's on the corner of Owen and Pandora. There's very essentially no visibility of it from the main thoroughfare. You need to know that it's there in order to go to it. We have applied an overall rate of $11 per square foot in our valuation. We're not disputing the expenses. And our final ARV is summarized on page number 23 at $209,050 based on that $11 rental rate. Now, I don't have the specific breakdown regarding months and quarters that would make this the proper even number, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that I can get some guidance. If that number will obviously move a few dollars in one direction or the other, and I'm entirely fine with that. That is my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Warner. Do you have any questions for Mr. Smith at this point?
No, I don't have any question. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Whitbread, do you have questions, sir?
Just a clarification, and I want to go back to page 3 of the city's presentation, Mr. Smith. This is the diagram. You just tell me when you're there.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, so we have the purple on my screen. It's purple square, and I see 1, 2, 3 buildings on the front left property. Those would not be included in today. And I see what looks like a demolished building on the right side, which I assume is going to be the new showroom. And then I see the building at the back, and that's what you would call the automotive service repair center. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's the Birchwood Collision Center.
And that is a building we're assessing today then?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's why you've taken out all those sales numbers that were included in your report.
Yes, they weren't intended to be included in the first place, and I erred in not reviewing it in time before it went to the board. But yes, I'm not relying on any of that retail information.
Thank you for that. I did confuse me. I couldn't quite figure out what we were getting at with all of those numbers. Okay, good clarification. Thank you. Otherwise, no, I'm fine. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And Ms. Anderson, do you have questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
And Mr. Smith, the amount that it rounds to correctly would be $209,040.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Needs to be divisible by 12. That's all.
That's all it is.
Yeah, that's all it is, and rounded to the nearest 5 or 0, whatever works best. So just as a going forward thing.
Thank you.
All right. And I guess the question I'm going to ask Mr. Smith is this. When the dealership is completed on the front corner of the property,
Yes,
Are they going to be amalgamated with this, or it's all Stevenson, obviously, correct?
it is all Birchwood owned, yes.
Okay. But they will kind of act as two separate entities, is that kind of what the, looks like it'll become down the line?
So I want to be sure that I understand your question. So they're currently different entities.
Of
The
course.
collision center operates as its own business,
Mhm.
and the former auto dealership was its own entity, and the co-op station C-store
Of course,
is
is its own entity,
Yeah.
of course. I was just curious to see if maybe the dealership then kind of, because of being all Stevenson, but I guess it's Stevenson sends cars there from all of their dealerships, I'm guessing.
Well, yes, they do, and the public does. So that's a collision center.
Yeah,
The
perfect.
auto dealership
I'm
will have
just-
repair itself.
I got you.
Yes,
This is a, where they're repairing boo-boos along the way.
yes.
All right, I think I have it. So you're using $11 a square foot with the costs, your costs are the same as the costs that are used by the department, which simplifies things in a lot of respects, so thank you very much. Those are my questions, and I appreciate your submission. Do we have any summation? No. Mr. Smith?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you very much. We move on to the next property. Translation. It's being 810 Region Avenue West. So can we have your presentation on this? Ms.
Sure.
Moore?
The file number 245177. Business assessment ID is 31782. Address is at 810 Regent Avenue West. Owner is Mikhail Stephenson Company Limited, BKE Holdings Limited. Total annual rental value is 212,880. Total area of all premises is 13,243 square feet. Overall ERV per square feet is $16.07. This business assessment ID has 4 premises. So each has an area of 1530, 2009, 13, 5200, and 3600. With the base ARV per square feet is $12.55, $16.69, $15.24, $11.56. With the total occupancy cost, the total annual rental value is 212,880. Subject property is not owner occupied. I would like board to confirm 2025 ARV of 212,880. Page number 2, I have the description of the subject property. It is number of the stories are 1. It has 4 premises. Total gross floor area is 13,243 square feet, and all the gross floor area is under the appeal today. And the page number 2, the bottom, I have the picture of the subject property. The picture I pasted from the Google Street View is not up to date, because picture shows something else like auto something. I can't really read it properly, but actually it is Bridgewood Collision Center. My picture is old as of 2018. So I have the same rent comparable I presented in the first, and it will be all the same throughout the day today. So we are looking for VCD rent comparables of the Regent location, with the average $17.85 and the median is $17.50. So that is the end of my presentation. Any questions are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Pardon me. Looking at the front page here, so the city has the premises broken out into 3 individual areas ranging in size, and they each have a rental rate applied to them. That is model generated, I'm assuming, based on the size and all of the other parameters?
Because out of 4, we consider 2 are the storage mezzanine area. So that's why the rent is 1255 and 1156. And the rest other 2s are considered as the normal BCT.
So the mezz is, or storage mezz is being assigned a rate of 1156 and 1255.
Yes, correct.
Okay, and if those were combined, they would be larger, and that would drive a lower rental rate in the model, would it not?
I'm not 100% sure how the model will generate the rate
Okay.
that time.
And then similarly, the rates for the main floor area that you're showing here, 2913 and 5200. That is, so they have 2 different rates there, 1524 and 1669. If those were again combined with that, and I understand the challenge there, but would it be fair to say that they would likely have a lower rental rate if those were combined into one?
We can say that, but I personally did not inspect it to combine and see if the rent is decreased or no, so I can't really comment on that. But as the overall theory, in general, we can say yeah, it will be a bit lower.
Okay. And the rental comparables, as I mentioned in the first property here today, these are all big box retail?
Yes.
Okay. And I do have rebuttal on that, Mr. Chair, whatever point that makes no sense for that to come in. So the properties number 1 to 13 are the ones that are on Regent Avenue,
Yes.
correct? And the majority of those would be either on the Walmart, Home Depot, anchored big box center, or in the enclosed mall on the north side of Regent, correct?
Yes.
All right. I think those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions, Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread.
I'm on page 3 of your presentation, and page 4 is a continuation. Can you just share with me what the difference is between the 2 lists? Are the numbers 14 to 41, that second list, are those big box retailers as well? Or are they just retailers?
Basically, I have not personally checked which properties are they initially, because I was only focusing on by the location, because VCD rent comparables are separated by the location in our rent comparables. So I only inspected or checked about the Regent Avenue one, because the subject property is on the Regent Avenue. So this is overall from the city. So from the north, St. James area, Grant Avenue, everywhere. So these all are retail.
Yeah, I'm a little bit ignorant on this, on the size. When I look at 11,000, is that a big box retailer? Or is that just a retailer?
I think only on the region we can say, I know the area personally too is the big box retails rent, but for the St. James one, I can see that 11,252, 710 St. James Street. It does not seem to me the big retail stores. It's like a standard. It could be the standalone, but I can't really comment because I have not inspected.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at Pembina Highway. There's some smaller ones there. There's some also 40 and 60,000 ones.
Yeah.
Okay, needless to say, I mean, they're all retail, they are not automotive.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I had to ask.
Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions, thank you.
Sorry, there we go. Come back to my point. I don't believe I have any further questions, and maybe just a little bit to Mr. Whitman's question with respect to the comps that you have. The department has broken down the comps per generally where larger retail properties close to car dealerships,
Yes.
correct? Is that what we've done?
Yes.
Very well. I have any questions?
I have one quick follow-up question.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Just more of a clarification. So the combined base ARV on a per square foot basis, that comes to $14.25 per square foot. Is that correct?
I can check because I haven't calculated. Wait a second.
I just did that myself. so
Okay, if
that's
you
fine.
did, then I trust on you.
No,
if you
if
don't
you
mind
want to,
saying.
that's entirely.
Yeah,
I just
okay.
wanted to,
Yeah.
the board to be aware of what the
Yeah,
overall.
because
number
both
was.
are located on the first floor, so it could be combined, but as it is in the system, so that's how it is agreed.
And Mr. Smith, I'm gonna come to you next. Your number is rounded to 189,660.
Thank you. All right, shall I proceed?
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, so first property we're dealing with here that is an automobile dealership is 810 Regent Avenue West. This was not heard at Realty as it slipped through the cracks with the ownership. I was not made aware of this one, so this has not been heard for Realty. As the background on that, it is yeah, it was a late addition, I guess. In any case, let's jump forward to my page number 3 and look at a bit of background. So we have a C3 zone property. It has 3 different ages, essentially. You have a portion of it built in 1973, a portion in 1984, and then a portion in 2009. 2009 was the showroom edition, essentially on the front that you will see. If you look at the photos of the property, you can see the 2 other buildings that are older and considerably lower ceilinged, which are at the back. The is the automotive service portion of the building, and then you have the relatively small showroom retail section at the front. This is in the photos beginning on page number 4. You can see the exteriors on page 4. Then we have a couple of interiors of the front showroom area. Relatively straightforward, and then the service area at the back. And again, you can see the different buildings and build out. So that original 1973 building, you can see some of the remaining checkered floor in the last photo on page number 6 there. Page number 7 gives you the site description. Aerial, it is just located just to the west of Plessy, so it's relatively far east on that Regent Avenue West strip. Actually, about as far as you go before you cross into Regent Avenue East and the more residential area. So it's fairly far removed from the other auto dealers, as well as certainly the big box retail, which is centered on Lagimodier and Regent Avenue intersection. All right, so that is some background. I will give you some quick overview points to keep in mind when we're valuing this. So automobile dealerships have been a long ongoing saga with regard to realty appeals. The there are approximately 200 to 300 outstanding municipal board appeals, both on behalf of appellants as well as the city of Winnipeg, sitting at the municipal board. We're awaiting our test case, which I am involved in, to take place in June with regard to determining the proper methodology for valuing automotive dealerships. Now, the challenge with automotive dealerships is that nearly exclusively, like almost entirely, with maybe one or two very small exceptions, there are automotive dealerships are all owner occupied. Therefore, there are no arm's length rents on the market for either the city or ourselves to refer to and point to and say, this is what the market is telling us that the rents should be. So in the absence of that, looking at appraisal theory and assessment theory, the proper methodology, as we're advancing it, is you need to look at the property and what its components are and how those would rent on the market. So the city has taken the view based on a prior 2004 municipal board decision that the property should be viewed as a single entity and compared to what wasn't called big box retail then, but is now called big box retail. So there was a decision taken in actually 2003 that that was the methodology that was used, should be used at that time in valuing these. Now, there was some limited information presented on both sides, but that was the decision that was taken. The following year, there was a decision by the municipal board that the property should be viewed essentially as industrial / automotive retail, automotive rather, and not big box retail. So they took rents that were presented at that time as automotive dealership rents, and at that time there were some automotive dealership rents, and they relied upon those in determining the market value. So there were these two disputed decisions. Many appeals in the last decade, again, on both sides. The city has been appealing recently, and we're now at the point where we're moving forward with a test case to decide this proper methodology. Now, as I'd said earlier, what you need to do in these cases, according to assessment and appraisal theory, is determine what the building is, what its functions are, and what the market tells you about lease rates and vacancy rates and cap rates for those type of properties. So when we look at an automotive dealership, we don't have a big box retail store. We don't have a single entity that does exactly the same thing throughout it, that's built in that way where you have a majority selling floor with a very limited amount of storage or warehousing at the back. What we have is two components of a building. You have the front of the building. You walk into the automotive dealership and you have a showroom with associated offices and lounge for the clients, etc. So it's showroom retail with associated offices, what we're looking at for the front. Now, you don't break that down into an office component and a showroom retail component. It's just showroom retail. That's what the front of the building is. Typically, as you move back in the building, there's a hard division, typically with a wall, And behind that is where the vehicle service is, and they're completely different entities. You walk into the vehicle service, there's overhead doors, there's concrete floors, very minimal build out, much more industrial in nature, but it is not industrial given the location of it and the use of it. It's vehicle service. So if you walk into a vehicle service facility on Pembina or Portage or wherever, it will have the same type of components, just typically in slightly smaller spaces. So you have two components of an auto dealership: that showroom retail at the front and vehicle service at the back. Now, what does the market tell us about how those rent on the open marketplace? That's what we should be looking at. And that is what I have done in my view in valuing these properties. Now, the city applies big box retail across the board. They don't look at the different components. They look at what big box retail is renting for and apply that to the subject. Where that goes wrong, in my opinion, is that well, there's a number of points there, and I'll try and be as brief as I can in referring to them. So, location: big box retail is not located where automobile dealerships are located. They are different locations. And I will prove this, and we'll walk through it because this is my job. I have all of the information here today. So if you go on Regent and you look at where the big box retail, and I'll get into this when we do our rebuttal, but if you look at where the big box retail is, they're located on the Crossroads Village site, as well as on the site of the enclosed mall in that location as well. Why are they located there? Because they drive much greater business being located on the pad sites of Walmart, Home Depot, Safeway, all of your big box anchors that are the anchors for those developments. So when the developers develop those, they get their main tenants, and then they fill in all of the other tenants on the basis that we have these anchor tenants, and come and join us on this site and you will do much greater business. That's how it works. Those tenants are then willing to pay considerably more money for locating on that site than they are in the location that these automobile dealerships will be located. So if you picture yourself on Regent Avenue, you have Crossroads Village on this side. You have your Kildonan Place on the other side. On the northeast corner, you again have considerable retail development. It's very retail centered. Continue driving east on Regent, you get beyond the Crossroads station. There's a little bit more retail there. You head towards the tracks. Costco is located on the west side. You cross over the tracks, and the development changes. It's older, it's more strip mall. There are one or two boxes there, which I will point to in my evidence when we get there. But it dominantly becomes more strip malls, and obviously the auto dealers located there. Now there's a considerable difference in location between those two, and I can straight up tell you from having spoken to innumerable experts in retail, commercial, in the marketplace here, that there are no big box retailers that are located on those sites that would entertain moving down the street to a location such as this. So that's one point. Location is different. You're going to drive much higher rents in those big box retail developments for the reasons stated. Second point, the the buildings don't fit. There is no, while we're looking at the front of the building as showroom retail, which it is, if you compare that to what the big box retail is, they would not move into even the front portion of the space of those buildings. It simply doesn't work for their business. They're 80 to 90% selling floor with minimal storage at the back. That's not at all what these buildings are. Equally, you don't find, and I think this is telling, you don't find automotive dealerships on big box development sites. If you think of all of the ones that you could think of in the city, you're not going to find a dealership in any of those locations. So they are not willing to, they would not be willing to pay whatever rent they would have to pay in order to locate on those sites. And nor necessarily do those developers want an automotive dealership on their site as well. So that's the background. That is why in my view, the city's view of how these properties should be valued is incorrect, as they're viewing it as one single entity, big box retail, which it's not. We have two components of the building, and we need to look at what the market tells us the rents should be for those components. Quick background as well with regard to the automotive industry. We're looking at a shifting industry, obviously. We have a lot of consolidation that has happened, a lot less need for bricks and mortar sites, so a lot less need for individual dealerships. Brands are consolidating and have been for some time in the marketplace, so they don't need as many locations. The dealerships are getting larger as kind of distribution centers. Shopping for a car now, you go online, you look at all of your various options, you go through the details, you come up with the one or two that you're actually interested in, and then you go and you book a test drive and go and purchase your car. You don't go to the site and go through every vehicle and then go on to the next one. You largely know what you're looking for before you get there. So it's more of a distribution type of entity now, rather than it is what it previously was, more sales oriented. Now, we also have the fact that, again, information that should have been taken out regarding the prior time frame, which I apologize for. That's the bottom of my paragraph on page number 9. The other thing I was going to point out, two things. Amazon is coming to the North American market. They're already present and expanding, which will drive much lower margins and much lower need for other distributors. And the COVID-19 pandemic had a significant impact on the market as well. Let's skip forward, page 10. And again, I'm trying to be quick here, so I won't go through this in detail. But what I'm pointing to is an article from the Appraisal Journal with regard to appraising auto dealership facilities. It specifically states that auto dealerships are considered special use or special purpose properties, which means they cannot typically be assigned other uses. So what that is saying is that you don't get other types of tenants moving into automotive dealerships, which means that they're specifically limited to their particular use. And this is evidenced by, I've got 6 different examples here of auto dealerships that either went dark or moved, and the lengthy time that the property sat on the market before being demolished and redeveloped, essentially. I believe each of those, well, with one exception, each of those was redeveloped in the future. The different one is unit 5, or rather number 5, which was a Saturn dealership, and Birchwood. That's at the Birchwood Auto Park, Point West Auto Park, and Saturn went dark. The Birchwood was unable to put any other brand in that particular unit, so they have used it for different purposes since that time. One as a truck dealership and one as essentially a used car dealership for finance. So that's the background. Let's move forward finally to the valuation of the property. So again, you move forward to my page 12, you can see how I've broken the property out. 2 components: number 1, retail showroom; number 2, automotive service and repair. So we can jump forward to those 2 components, look at the market comparables, and come to our final valuation. So the first one, page number 13, automotive comparables. Now, for the most part, these are automotive service. There is some automotive collision in there. And in a couple of limited cases, we have some leases for automotive sales. These are not first-run dealerships. They are used automobile dealerships that are essentially on the second rung of auto dealerships. Once the initial utility of a branded dealership is obsolete, they typically descend to becoming used auto dealerships, and then when they're no longer suitable for that purpose, they then become redevelopment sites where the structure is torn down. So let's quickly jump through these as well. I had already noted 120 King Edward, 15,000 square feet. That's a Boyd Collision Center, $8.50. Number 2 there, 1870 King Edward as well, Route 90, $10.15 for another large area, nearly 18,000 square feet. Our subject in total is 13,243. So we have, again, a front showroom retail, smaller area, and then a larger automotive service at the back. So we can look at the other ones present there. I'd already noted the ones on Regent 4 through 6, relatively close to the subject. 2018 and 2019 leases for 5-year terms between $8 and $12 per square foot in that location for the automotive. Beyond that, we have other well-located automotive service centers on major thoroughfares for the most part. And you can see the rental rate ranges there. Typically, they are in that $8 to $12 range for the most part. The automotive sales that I will point you to are at the bottom end of the chart. We have number 13, which is actually 3680 Portage. That was a lease in 2017. $12.50 a square foot for 7,200 square feet. Again, economies of scale. We have 2554 Portage. That was if you recall, the former Mercedes dealership on the corner of Portage Avenue and the bridge there at Moray, I guess it is. 2015 lease at $750 per square foot. That obviously would go up somewhat from there in 2020 when it renewed. If it were to be renewed, it wasn't renewed. It's now something different at this time. We have finally the last one, number 17, 1322 Waverly. This is the not auto location. Premium used auto sales, just under 28,000 square feet. It is a former industrial building that has been significantly revised for its use. 2018 lease at $6.85 per square foot. Now the caveat there is that the tenant put all of the money into the renovations of the building for their particular use. So there was no outlay on behalf of the ownership for that lease. So that needs to be taken into account when viewing that one. So it'd obviously be somewhat higher than that. That is the automotive comparable that we are looking at in the marketplace. Now, we can move on to the showroom retail portion. And again, it's critical to understand location in looking at what is appropriate for valuation for this component of the property. We're not looking at, we are looking at big box retail for the most part, yes, but we're not looking at big box retail that is located directly on major anchored development, power center nodes, enclosed malls, etc., where obviously the rental rates would be considerably higher. We're looking at those locations that are more comparable to the subject property, and indeed we have a couple that are right on Regent that are quite indicative. So again, this is not for the whole property, it's for the front showroom retail. So let's look at the comps that we have here. I'll try and be quite precise. Number one, 1520 Regent Avenue West, 26,000 plus square feet. This is a Leon's Furniture location. 2021 lease for 10 years at $14 per square foot. Now, I have broken a number of these out on the following pages, giving you a photograph and a map indicating where the property is located. So this is located essentially just before the train tracks, on the very, very far edge of that developed retail area anchored by Walmart, and the other anchors for that Crossroads station. This is not Crossroads Station. In fact, it's another mall entirely, and it's at the very far end of it. That's a Leon's Furniture location. Number 3, 1540 Regent, same site. This is a Staples location. 2020 lease, $10.25 a square foot, virtually side by side. Moving beyond that, we have number 4, and this is an excellent comp, just under 40,000 square feet. This is a brick location built in what we have indicated here is 2005. That was with updates. The original start date for them was 1998. For their lease there, they had built-in steps all throughout their lease, and they are paying, as of the valuation date, $13.55 a square foot. Now, that property, you flip to my page 18, you can see it's very close proximity to the auto dealer concentration on Regent Avenue. So in that location, they're paying $13.55 for their nearly 40,000 square feet. I will point you to a couple of others here. There's Narran Avenue, number 7, 14,500 square feet. We have a 2019 lease at $11.50 per square foot for 5 years. I'll jump down a bit to look at a couple that should also be focused on. We're looking again for those kind of peripheral type of locations. 3660 Portage Avenue, number 9, just under 44,000 square feet. This is a McMunn & Yates, so home service and repair, 2018 lease at $7.72 a square foot. Similarly, towards the end of Pembina, redevelopment of the Fort Richmond Mall into individual boxes, not a big box development as such, but a redevelopment. So we have the PV marked there, 2018 lease for $10.50 a square foot, 3,000 square feet roughly. We also have a Dollarama at just over 15,000 square feet, 2020 lease at $15.54 per square foot. Number 12, I should also indicate, this is on the west side of route or Lagimodier and the intersection with Regent there. This is a Shapes co-ed location. 2016 lease for 10 years at $11.50 a square foot, relatively new building in 2006. One that isn't immediately adjacent to the subject or anything, but that is important in understanding the overall context. We have a redevelopment that took place of an industrial building at 1290 Kenniston. Now, if you go north from McGillivray and Kenniston, where all of the power centers are located, and you cross the tracks, go up the way a little bit, there's a light and a crossroads. On the west, you have the Terracon development. On the east, you have 3 brand new auto dealerships, 2 of them being Birchwood, one of them being Mercedes dealership. Immediately adjacent to the 2 Birchwoods, we have this redevelopment, and it was entirely changed from industrial to retail. A lot of money put into it for this purpose. 2 leases there, one 15,000, one just under 10,000 or 9,500 square feet. 2016 leases at $12 and $12.50 a square foot. So would those go up as the valuation date? Yes, they would, but they're immediately adjacent, and that's only the retail that we're looking at. So we're looking at a range again up to that $14-15 per square foot at the upper end of the range, from a low end of, call it $10 per square foot, essentially. Now, the location is critical, obviously, in real estate. It's even more critical in retail real estate, and that drives, obviously, has a huge impact on what an owner is willing to charge for rent and what a tenant would be willing to pay. So the photos here indicate to you where these particular comps are, and you get a good sense that, yes, that's more of a comparable location to the auto dealerships than what the comps are that the city is showing. So that is the background. We can flip forward to my page 22. What I have done here is give you an example of how to come up with the appropriate market rental rate. And again, this is strictly an example. Take a 100 square foot building. For automotive dealerships, typically you have a 60 to 70% of the building being automotive service and 30 to 40% of the building being showroom retail. I've broken this out in my example as 60 square feet of automotive, 40 of showroom retail. You apply a rate of $10 a square foot to the automotive and 15 a square foot to the showroom. Again, in the example, this averages out to $12 per square foot. I'm not telling you what you should apply to them. We're looking at it as an overall entity and putting our number on it. And but this is essentially the view that we have in coming up with the overall average rent that we've applied to the property. So looking at the information that we have presented to you, we have assigned a rate of $12.50 a square foot to the subject property overall, which compares to $14.25 that the city has applied to the property overall. So $12.50 is our rental rate. We don't dispute the expenses, and our summary ARV is shown on page number 24. And the slight revision of that comes to $189,000, $660, $189,660. The addenda materials that you can see there include the decisions from the Point West Auto Park, where the Board of Revision decided on all 10 units to utilize our net operating income, which was based on our rental rates, our vacancy rates, et cetera, et cetera. And I have included as well what those rates were. Now, they're slightly lower for the auto park out there than what we're looking at here on Regent Avenue at $12 per square foot for the most part. So that is my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Now, I'll just ask this. I'm assuming we can use the argument that you just put in going forward for the balance of your presentation this morning.
If I didn't mention that up front, I should have, and yes, that is the
I
intent.
assume that, but I just wanted to clarify. Ms. Polar, any questions?
No, I don't have a question.
Thank you very much. Mr. Whitbread, any questions, sir?
I'm hearing you, just looking for a moment.
Certainly.
With Ms. Anderson, if you like.
Ms. Anderson, do you have any questions while Mr. Whitbread determines he needs to ask?
Yeah, I have no questions. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
I guess I could come back, Mr. Chair, and we're talking about business assessment tax, Mr. Smith, is that correct? And not
That's
a
correct.
realty tax here?
That's correct, yes.
And a business assessment tax is in place for what purpose? Other than to generate revenue for city coffers. What are we trying to do here? Measure what?
Well, I mean, the only real disputed thing typically is we're measuring the rental rate. So what should the appropriate rental rate be for these business premises that we're assessing?
So it's too simplistic then, if I read your presentation correctly, to say, look, just look at the size, look at the location, and I don't know, what else? The type of business? You have to look at all of those things, do you? You can't just say, look, it's just square footage times this value. You have to use those elements to come to value. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Well, yes, you're not too simplistic there. That is ultimately what we're doing. It's just that the marketplace doesn't have automotive dealership rents for us to look at to say it should be that rent times this area. So we have building with two components. What does the market say each of those would rent for?
Yeah, and your presentation covered that pretty confidently in relation to the case studies in 203 and 204, or the appeals in 203, 204. And so to date, we don't have a firm precedent to work from. We have those two conflicting precedents. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'll work with that. Thank you. No other questions.
Much. And I think I leave it as is because I think this has been kicked around many times. I guess at the end of the day, you're using a blended rate. This particular property is not owner occupied. There's actually a rent on this one, is there not? And I don't.
If we do, it is a short-term duress rent, essentially, if there is one, is how I would frame it, because
Fair enough, because
they need to
I
locate.
noted from the assessor saying that it was not owner occupied.
Mhm.
And you didn't touch on any rent that may actually be realized.
Yes, I'm afraid I don't have that information. You're right. They don't own the property.
Fair enough.
But they're there because they're redeveloping 1376
Gotcha.
for that short period of time, they have to locate in whatever building is available at whatever rent can be charged to them by the owner there.
And I guess, I know that you made the point of the power center and the dealerships kind of being really two separate animals, really.
Very much.
They tend to be sort of in the general area of each other, though. In most cases,
So yes, I would agree.
but not on
But
top
they're
of
not,
each other.
but they're not together.
No, they're not.
They're on the same street.
Yes.
Down the way. Less retail development around them, et cetera, et cetera.
The
They are
dealerships seem
different.
to want to be clustered together and away from retail. And that seems to be the case pretty much with all dealerships in the city. Is that a fair statement to make?
Yes, somewhat. Yes, they cluster together. Typically, if you look at where they're located, so Point West, far edge of the city,
Yeah.
outside the Waverly development, obviously a little well into the city now. When it was developed, it was a little bit different. It was spare industrial land at the time when they started that. Regent, you're again not in the heart of the retail, you're at the far end of it. McPhillips, your dealerships with some of the older ones are further in south of Leela, obviously, but then you have 4 or 5 of them that are developed on the very edge of the city, north of Leela there, right?
No, I agree completely.
So that's kind of what we're looking at as far as locations. As I mentioned, I will spend virtually no time on it, but I do have rebuttal that will very much clarify that point.
And we'll get to that just as I'm finishing up. So
Absolutely.
those are my questions.
Mhm.
So your rebuttal would be at this point. Welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. Does everybody have that in front of them before I speak to it?
Just trying to find it.
It's been shared. Please refresh your SharePoint. You can see it as applicant rebuttal. Yes, sir.
I have it.
Here we are.
I found it. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So what I've done here for rebuttal is simply go through the 80 big box retail comps that the city has in their evidence and show you what and where they are and give you just essentially a summary so that everybody knows what we're looking at here. Now, I'll focus on the first page, which is the Regent comparables. So as I'd already mentioned, most of them are located on either Crossroads Station Shopping Center, which is the Walmart, Home Depot, etc. anchored power center node on the southeast corner of Regent and Lagimodiere, or on the Kildonan Place enclosed mall shopping center development. So let's just quickly run through these. But first, if you look at the aerial, you can see where they're located. So there's Regent and Lagimodiere, the main intersection. They are all on this main retail power center node. And where are the auto dealers? Well, you head east on Regent, you cross over the train tracks, past Costco. Down there, we have the Brick. Just before it, we have a couple of shared comps, numbers 3, I guess, is our only shared comp. But as you head east there, you then come to where the auto dealers are. So they're not on those sites. They're not willing to pay those rents. Those developers don't want them on the sites. And none of those tenants would elect to locate down the road in a standalone location, paying what they're paying where these auto dealers are. So that's what we're looking at. The type of tenants that we're looking at are national and international brands, obviously. So for this area, we're looking at a Sobeys, Leon's Furniture, Marksburg Warehouse, Best Buy, Ashley, Sport Chek, Michaels, Petland, Save On Foods, Cineplex, Shoppers, Drug Mart, etc. These are all tenants that will pay significant high-end rental rates. One of them is a movie theater in Kildonan Place. So yes, are the rents higher? Yes, obviously they'll be higher given what they are and where they are. So move down the road, yes, you'll pay a retail rent for that front showroom portion, but it won't be in the same type of rental rate range that is being paid by these tenants. You can go through the rest of them. I'm not going to run through each of them. The next one is the Polo Park area. You can see how each of the comps there are either on the site of Polo Park Shopping Center or immediately across the road in the big box development that is located there. Same tenants, Save On Foods, Old Navy, Best Buy, etc. You can run through each of them, but again, we're looking at page 3, we're looking at Grant Park Shopping Center, the shopping center, the intersection of Abinogi, Mikana, and Pembina, as well as a couple of other individual ones, but very different animal. And then you have page 4 being the power center retail nodes surrounding McGillivray and Kenniston. See all the locations there. As you move north from there, and you cross the train tracks, so beyond 47 and 48, come up to the next intersection. That's where my 2 comparables are, as well as the 3 auto dealers that have been built. So you get the point. You can run through the rest of them. I won't take up more of your time here. Obviously, national retailers are going to, they have whole departments that tell them where to locate and what size to build and what they should be willing to pay. They will pay whatever they need to pay to be in the correct locations. So obviously those rents are higher in those locations for the reasons already stated. That is my rebuttal evidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Questions, Ms. Moore?
Nope, I don't have any questions.
Any questions, Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Anything?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you very much, and I believe you've made your point.
Thank you.
Very much. And again, we will use that on a go-forward basis for the rest of
Absolutely.
these and things. All right, any final summation, Ms. Moore?
Nope, I don't.
And Mr. Smith, any final thought?
No, thank you.
Very well. Maybe we should take a 10-minute break.
Thank you.
I can tell you the rest of them will move forward quickly, but yes.
We can take a 10-minute break. That would probably be good for all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and welcome back. We would now be moving on to 1300 Regent Avenue West. Ms. Bois, would you like to give us your presentation on that,
Sure,
please?
thank you. File number 244859, address is 1300 Regent Avenue West. Business assessment ID is 41190. Business name is Bridgewood Keystone 4. Owner is BFR Holdings Limited. Total annual rental value is 901,560. Total area of all premises under appeal is 57,743 square feet. Overall ARV per square feet is $15.61. And the premises ID 8804, which is at 1300 Regent Avenue West, has a base ARV per square feet is $13.10, with the total occupancy costs are $145,106. Becomes our annual rental value at $900 1,560. This subject is owner occupied, and I would like board to confirm 2025 ARV of 9 under 1,560. In the page number 2, I have the description of the subject property. Number of stories are 2, and overall gross floor area is 57,743, and it is under appeal. So the bottom of the page shows the income and expense below shows the subject property is fully owner occupied. In the page number 3, I have the pictures of the subject property. The front is facing Regent Avenue West. And from the page number 4 to the 8, I have the same rent comparables. And that is the end of my presentation. But there is another thing I would like to notify the board that this property's reality was under appeal, and the decision was based on net operating income presented by the Assessment and Taxation Department. So that is my reason for board to confirm the 2025 ARV to be maintained. That is the end of my presentation. Any questions are welcome. Thank you.
Good, questions?
Yes, just very briefly. So this is a new property essentially built in 2022.
Yes,
And looking at the page 1, so the base rental rate is applied to the whole property in this case, right?
yes,
57,743 at $13.10.
yes.
Okay. And the decision of the Board of Revision, that's been appealed by both the city and the appellant, correct?
I haven't checked that, but that is only the board's decision.
Those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Anderson, any questions at this time?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, questions at this time?
Just one, I note that there's a 10-cent difference in the rent on this property. Was there any, which is less than 0.5% difference in the values? Was there any effort to try and resolve this matter between you and the applicant?
So I'm not sure why this rent is different than the previous one. It could be the same scenario, which I think applicant mentioned that it is applied to the overall area. That could be the reason the rent is lower.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at 57,743 square feet
Yes,
at 1310.
yes.
Same square foot that the applicant has used, but $13. My question is, no discussion to resolve this?
No, no discussion.
I have no other questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And I note, Mr. Smith's value is $895.76, is that correct? Yep.
That is correct, yes.
Great, Mr. Whitbread, it is a 10-cent difference between the two
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is.
I'll speak to it.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. So those are my questions for you, Ms. Pilar. And Mr. Smith, we can maybe zero in on that, and then,
Absolutely.
and again, remembering that we have already heard the longer version of your presentation.
Of course, and we're not going to
Okay.
touch on any of that material.
Thank you very much.
Leave it in your capable hands.
Yes, sir.
So to your question, Mr. Whitbread, no, unfortunately, we did not have discussion ahead of time. The reason for that is all of these outstanding municipal board cases. The city is not going to come to any agreements on any auto dealerships ahead of any ruling coming out of the municipal board. So there is no point, unfortunately, until we get through that process. So yes, we're quite close. What and you might ask, well, why did you appeal it? Well, we're looking for equity on all of them. So that is essentially what it is. If you look at the rate that's applied to this one versus some of the others and what the model says that varies considerably. And that is the reason for that. So it's not that we're significantly in dispute over the rental number on this. It's again, we're simply looking for equity across the board. We've applied a higher rate to this property, obviously, because it's new. And that rate had been confirmed in prior realty appeals. It wasn't this time, which is the reason for one of the reasons for our appeal. But that is why we're moving forward for it. We're not here to waste the board's time. I will, in that vein, jump through this fairly quickly. Page 3 gives you most of the breakdown that you need. Built in 2022, sits on 4.9 acres, just 57,743 square feet, so it's quite significant in size. Main floor area is just under 41,000 plus mezzanine of just under 17,000 square feet, so 57 plus thousand square feet. You're looking at one of the bigger dealerships in the city, certainly. It is a Ford dealership. Photos are on page 9. These are all of my photos. I did inspect this property and all of the other ones. You can see the front versus rear, the exteriors, some of the supportive office area, the lounge area for the clientele, as well as the showroom. So that is what the property looks like. It is further west on Regent Avenue than our 810 Regent was. It is in close proximity to that 1376 Regent, which was 1 Owen that we were dealing with. Page 10 will show you where it is. All of our remaining information inside of the brief remains the same with regard to discussion of the industry, the comparables presented, etc. Now, this is a newer building and a larger building. So typically larger, you will have economies of scale that will come into play. Balancing that off is the new construction. So it is essentially what you're looking for as a dealership these days, as far as the build out goes. So all of that has been taken into account, and we have assigned a higher rental rate at $13 per square foot to the subject property. This is shown on my page 24. Again, this was confirmed in earlier realty appeals on this property, as well as some other newly built auto dealerships. The expenses were not in dispute of, as shown on page 25, and our final ARV comes to $895,760 or whatever division by 12 that
Sorry,
would come to.
I should have done that for you, sorry.
No, that's all
My
right. And I'm
apologies.
sorry I don't have it
Yeah.
correct in the first place, but again, it only varies minimally from that number.
It's very different, not very much difference, it is.
740 works, Mike.
Yeah, 7. Your number would round to, to 740. So 895, 740 would be the number that would be rounded down to.
Here.
Sorry, forgot to
No, that's fine.
yeah, it's all it is just divisible by 12, either to the near closest 0 or 5.
0 or 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
That tends to be how they work it out, and it's a BA thing.
Yeah.
Nothing, nothing further than that. All right, so you're good,
I'm finished. Yes, absolutely.
Ms. Boire, any questions for Mr. Smith?
No question, thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
And Mr. Whitbread, any questions, sir?
Just thank you for that explanation. Makes sense.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and I'm gonna just paraphrase quickly. The realty decision on this was different, or the decision on this was just a cap rate change, correct?
Yes,
Your rents were
the same as they are
same as they
today.
are today.
Yeah.
Okay, and BA of course is just no rents.
Correct.
10 cents, you couldn't. I'm just asking. Asking for a friend, as they say.
Yeah, again,
All right,
it's
I,
equity.
good enough. Thank you very much. Any final summation at this point?
Well, I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. We shall move on to the next property. In a moment here while we change gears. Just not working very fast today. All right, Ms. Pawar, I believe the next property on the docket is 1310 Region Avenue West. So can we have your presentation, please?
So the file number 244861, address is 1310 Regent Avenue West. Business assessment ID is 56272. Business name is Bridgewood Volkswagen. Owner is Bridgewood Automotive Group Incorporation. Total annual rental value is 537,000. Total area of all premises is 32,840 square feet. Overall ARV per square feet is $16.35. Premises ID 300,800 located at 1310 Regent Avenue West. Has a base ARV per square feet is $13.79. With the total occupancy cost is 84,161, which becomes our annual rental value at 537,000. This subject is owner occupied, and I would like board to confirm 2025 ARV of 537,000. Page number 2 has the description of the subject property. Number of stories are 2. Built in 2021. Gross floor area 32,840, which is under appeal. And page number 3 has the picture of the subject property, and also the page number 4 is a further Google view pictures of the subject property. And the same rent comparables and the board's decision for the realty appeal, that net operating income presented by the Assessment and Taxation Department, and only the cap rate was changed. And that is the end of my presentation. Any questions are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pawar. Questions, Mr. Smith?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Whitbread, any questions at this point?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Thank you very much. Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Excellent. I do not have any questions. Mr. Smith, your number actually is divisible by 12 as it should be, so we don't need to modify your annual rental value. So at this point, go ahead, please.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So to the point we were just talking about, where there, previous property, where there are discussions, et cetera, and my point about equity. Subject property here, 1310 Regent Avenue, immediately beside the adjacent one. It was built in 2022. Pardon me, 2022, so brand new, as is this one, built in 2021. And the rental rate applied there was 1310. Subject property here, $13.79 per square foot. So the model is saying two side-by-side dealerships built 1 year apart have a 60-70 cent difference in rental rate. Whatever the model does to come up with that is what it is. Again, we're looking for equity in the decision. So those were close. These are much less close when you look at it in that vein. So I'll cover this quickly again. This is 1310 Regent Avenue West. It is the Birchwood Volkswagen dealership, newly constructed in 2021. Sits on 1.7 acres, and we have a total leasable area of 32,840 square feet, of which 8,654 square feet is mezzanine area. The photos begin on page 4, exteriors of the showroom area, as well as the rear of the building, or rather the service area of the building, showroom and supportive office on page 5, supportive office and meeting / lunchroom, page 6. And then we get into service on page 7, rear of the building, page 7, or service area and exterior lot on page 8. So that is what we're looking at. I did not do the breakdown, unfortunately, on the land plan area ratio for the subject. It is quite low. I know we haven't discussed that, and I won't get into detail. Typically, you're looking for an 8-to-1 ratio or higher for an modern auto dealership, given their needs for space to display cars for sale, park cars that are in for service repair, for clients to come and visit the showroom, as well as staff. So there's a great need for land for these. This is significantly lower than that 8-to-1. I don't have the number. They had an existing building on site and the land that they own, so they have been forced to work with what they have in that subject location, but it is not ideal. Something to keep in mind when looking at the overall rental rate applied to the subject. All of the other information remains the same. We have applied the same $13 per square foot rental rate to the subject property as shown on my page 24. We don't dispute the expenses, and our final ARV comes to $511,080. As already noted, both parties have appealed the Board of Revision decision to the municipal board. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions, Ms. Walton?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Whitbread, questions?
I don't have anything.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I don't believe I have any questions at this point. So thank you very much. Any final summation, Ms. Black?
I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, this concludes this issue. Move on in the document. I believe we are now at 1375 Regent Avenue West.
It's 1310.
1375.
Sorry.
Oh. 1375?
Yeah, sorry.
Want to make sure I got twinkle on my side of back. If I don't have that, we're in deep trouble. Ms. Boire, if we could hear from you on 1375 Regent.
The file number 244754, address is 1375 Regent Avenue West, business assessment ID 6817, business name is Goshe Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, owner is Royal Dodge Chrysler Corporation. Total annual rental value is 861,540. Total area of all premises is 52,508 square feet. Overall ARV per square feet is $16.41. Number of premises are 3. Out of that, one is a dealership, is premises ID 8810, and the other two are the garage, vehicle service garage at 8807 premises ID and 303192. So with the total occupancy cost, our annual rental value breaks down, and then it becomes 861,540. The subject is not owner occupied. The reported leases for bid 6817 for the premises ID 8807 and 8810, which is garage and the dealership. Reported area is 12,330 and 31,225. With the reported rent per square feet is $25.79 for the garage and $10.18 for the dealership. So I would like board to confirm the 2025 ARV of 861,540. And the page number 2, I have the description of the subject property. Number of stories are 1 and 2, and the total gross floor area is 49,626. Leasable area is 52,508, which is under appeal. Page number 2 at the bottom is a picture of the subject property as well as the page number 3. I have the same rent comparable used for the realty for vehicle car dealership as well as the vehicle service garage on the page number 8. On the page number 8, also there is a decision of the Board of Revision for the realty included, which shows that the net operating income presented by the Assessment and Taxation Department was used and only the cap rate was changed. So page number 9 through page number 13, I have the pictures of the vehicle service garage rent comparables. So that is the end of my presentation. Any questions are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Smith, questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to confirm then, looking at the premise IDs and the areas on the front, so just so we're all clear. So the first one, 8807, 12,330 square feet. That is the that is not the dealership, correct?
No,
That is that
vehicle service.
1984 section of the property fronting on Regent.
Yes,
Okay, and the second one, 8810, that is the dealership, 31,225 square feet.
yes, correct.
Okay, and then the last one is 8,953 square feet, and that's the building that's located at the rear of the site, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And you had indicated that the building is not owner occupied. Did you confirm that with the ownership, or where did that come from?
this comes from income and expense mailer.
Okay, not sure how to, I'll address that in my comments maybe.
You can, I know where you're going with that one, so. go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. I won't spend time on that then. You had indicated there's some vehicle service garage rents that are included.
Yes, that are the same rent comparable used for the realty, so from here,
Right, okay, so that would be on page number 8.
yes,
Okay. Just wanted to address two of them, so that's 107 Vermilion Road and 20 Lakewood. 21 and $22 rental rates there. So that would be, those two properties are on the Southdale Shopping Center, anchored by Walmart, Canadian Tire, Co-op, grocery store, and Shoppers Drug Mart. Is that correct?
yes, true.
Okay. Those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread, any questions, please?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Moore, are you aware that the ownership here is related parties?
No, I'm not aware about this.
Okay, thank you very much. Those are my questions. Mr. Smith?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to that point, and I won't spend any time on it, the operating business and the owners are the same people. It is common ownership and is not arm's length. So the reported rents are internal book rents and really have no value with regard to deriving the the market value for the property, and should be ignored in the valuation as per assessment and appraisal theory. I will move beyond that. So subject property, we're looking at, as noted by the city, essentially 3 different buildings. If you look at my page number 3, it will be broken out for you. So there were 2 buildings built originally. One is a automotive, it's a standalone automotive service building. And then a separate dealership. Those were both built in 1984. One of them is 31,225 square feet. The other is 12,330 square feet. Now, the third building is essentially a car wash / auto detailing building for the dealership. You can't go there and get your car washed. It's not an operating entity on its own. It forms part of the dealership's needs, but they didn't have the space in the existing building for that particular function, and they had some room on the site, so they built a separate building for that in 2022. Now, the city, I think, has a rate of $16.48 per square foot on that particular building. Again, it's a car wash is essentially what it is. So background, built in 1984, for the most part, with the exception of that one building built in 2022, sits on 5.3 acres. The photos begin on the next page. You have frontage photo of the dealership on page 4, some of the lot, some of the exterior of the service area. On page 6 as well, and then we get into the showroom and front parts area, and then again more of that higher area, I guess that is customer area, top of page 8. Again, built in 84. This is an older dealership. Typically would draw a lower rate in the marketplace than a newer property of comparable utility and location. Office area, internal locker rooms, and then we get into the service, bottom of page 9, all through page 10 and into page 11. So page 11 is the rear car wash building. Essentially, that's what they looks like. And they do their auto detailing in there. Page 12 is that same building. And then page 13 is the other 1984 building on the inside. Some customer service office area at the front, and then you get into the service portion at the rear, as shown on page 14. So lower ceilings, et cetera, et cetera. It's of its era in 1984. The site is shown on my page number 15. And you can see the location of the 3 buildings on site there. This is, as you can see, the side road there is Owen Street. So this is on the north side of Regent from the 1376 Regent /1 Owen that we were dealing with earlier. Same exact vicinity. Property location shown on page number 16. All of the remainder of my detail with regard to the automotive comparables, as well as the retail or showroom retail comparables, remain the same. Nothing has changed. We just need to apply them to the subject property at an appropriate rate. So again, we have a building, or rather a subject, that was for the most part built in 1984 with one 8,900 square foot exception. So that is certainly older for an auto dealership in city of Winnipeg. That being said, it does have that one new portion, or one newer building, which is located at the rear of the site with essentially no visibility. Certainly wouldn't rent for $1,650 a square foot on the open market. We have applied $12.50 a square foot net per square foot to the auto dealership building. And then $11 per square foot to both the front vehicle service building as well as the rear vehicle service building. So that's the original 1984 vehicle service building as well as the auto detailing building at the rear of the site with, again, no visibility. So $11 a square foot has been applied to both of those premises. So this gives us a rental income of $624,426. We don't dispute the total expenses. I would point out that perhaps the air conditioning is not present on the whole new building. I didn't get the chance to confirm that with the ownership, but I'm not going to dispute that today. So we're adding those expenses to our rental income, coming to a final ARV of $753,180 per square foot. That is my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Ms. Boar, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, questions?
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. And I guess I'll ask one question. This is a slightly older dealership on Region, but
Yes.
would you agree that this is more of a, and I think you've accounted for it in your rent, that this is kind of like the older version of the newer style of showrooms that are being built even today?
It is certainly for the time frame it was built in 1984. It was a bigger
Cutting edge.
dealership at the
And it was cutting edge at the time, was it not?
in 1984. It was, yes. So given the size of it at that time, it certainly was one of the bigger dealerships in the city for that time frame. Is it from a utility perspective, as far as that goes for a dealership of that size? Yes, with some layout differences perhaps in how it would be designed. Yes, they would be similar in utility, but again, we're not looking at a new building for.
Fair enough. And the reason I asked that question is, we had a Ford dealership a couple of properties ago, and close in size overall to that.
Yes,
And I'm gonna say close in general presentation to the public. Is that fair?
well,
And that's for out by, you were using $13 on that property, this one you're using $12.50.
and that is the reason for that, yes. Yes,
Those are my questions.
okay.
Solutions,
No, I'm good. Thank you.
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
thank you very much. I appreciate your addition on both sides, thank you. So I'm gonna move on. So now we are at 1401 Regent Avenue West. Ms.
Yep.
Boar, please.
The file number 244981 and address is 1401 Regent Avenue West. Business assessment ID is 1938. Business name is Bridgewood Honda Center. Owner is Carlo Trade Center Limited. Total annual rental value is 402,660, with total area of all premises is 25,944 square feet. Overall ARV per square feet is $15.52. Premises ID 2424 has the base ARV per square feet is $13.06, with a total occupancy cost of $63,859, becomes the annual rental value of $402,660. This subject is owner occupied, and I would like board to confirm 2025 ARV to maintain at 402,666. Page number 2, I have the description of the subject property. Its number of stories is 1. Number of premises is 2. Total gross floor area is 32,621. Out of that, 25,944 is appealed under 1401 Regent Avenue West, and the remainder of 6,677 square feet is appealed under 1411 Regent Avenue West, which is our next property. On the page number 2 at the bottom is the screenshot of the income and expense table, shows it is fully owner occupied. Page number 3 and page number 4, I have the pictures of the subject property. Page number 5 and page number 6, VCD rent comparables are the same. Page number 7 and page number 8, I have the board's decision for the realty appeal, where the decision was based on net operating income presented by the assessment and taxation department, and only the cap rate was changed that time. So that is the end of my presentation. Any questions are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Smith, any questions, sir?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Whitbread, any questions, sir?
I have none, thanks.
Thank you very much. Ms. Anderson, any questions at this time?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, and I do not have any questions, so I'm just gonna do the quick calculation, so if you'd like to start,
Okay.
Mr. Smith, please
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So subject property we're looking at here is 1401 Regent Avenue West. It is a Birchwood Honda dealer now. For realty, both 1401 and 1411 Regent, which is our next property, are combined on a single roll number. 1401 is the main auto dealership. It is the branded Honda dealership. It is newer. This is, well, newer than the older building. This was built in 2005. This particular building, and we're looking at 25,944 square feet, of which 3,500 square feet is mezzanine area. And if we look at the land to plan area ratio for this property, it is relatively low at 4.68 to 1, which again, for a dealership where you're looking for 8 to 1, it's certainly on the older side. Now, let's look quickly at some of the details. So built in 2005, it's not new. We can see the vintage of the improvements when we go through the photos. So page 4 gives you some of the showroom area, as does page 5. You've got your standard for the time drop T-bar ceiling, tiled floor from them, etc. There have been some upgrades over time, but not to extent of a more modern dealership. Some of the office area on page 5, and then we get into parts and service, as well as the actual auto service area at the back of the building on page number 7. So you can see very clear distinction between the service area and the showroom retail area. So that very clear demarcation of why they should be treated separately. Now, looking at the site description, page number 8, this is somewhat, it's all right, somewhat informative as well. If you look at the roof lines, you have vehicle service area. So the building we're looking at is on the eastern side of that shot. So right-hand side. On the left side of that building, or the leftmost portion of that building, you have a drive-through automotive service area. the rear of the building is automotive service. And then that front square is your showroom retail with supportive office. So if you look at my 60 to 70% of estimation of these buildings being vehicle service versus the 30 to 40% being showroom retail, it largely bears that out in looking at this now. These buildings, pardon me, typically break out along those lines. This is just an informative photo in order to illustrate that point. So where is 1401 Regent? Well, it is located kitty corner. So on the northwest corner of Owen Street and Regent Avenue West. So 1376 Regent is on the kitty corner to 1401 Regent Avenue West. So right in that same strip of automotive retailers. Again, the remainder of our information remains the same. I will skip forward to the valuation of the subject property. So we're looking at a property built in 2005. It is a full automobile dealership, rather, with service as well as sales, and is just under 26,000 square feet in size. We have taken all of this into account and applied a rental rate of $12.50 a square foot to the subject property for evaluation. The expenses are not disputed, and that gives us our rounded ARV on page 25 of $388,150, or whatever the closest divisible by 12 number is.
388,140.
388,140.
Yep, thank you. That is the rounded value.
Thank you very much. That's the presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Mr. Bell, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Whitburn, any questions?
No, thank you.
And Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I do not have any questions, so thank you again for your presentation. Any summation from either party?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good. Thank you very much. Move on. Item number 7 on the docket. I believe this is the last item to be heard this morning.
Yes.
And this is 1411 Regent Avenue West. So Ms. Boer, please
Sure.
go ahead.
The file number 244982. Address is 1411 Regent Avenue West. Business assessment ID is 1939. Business name is Bridgewood Honda Center. Owners Carlo Trade Center Limited. Total annual rental value is 112,080, and the total area of our premises is 6,677 square feet. Overall ARV per square feet is $16.79. For the premises ID 2425 has a base ARV per square feet is $14.29, with a total occupancy cost of $16,661, becomes the annual rental value of 112,080. The subject is owner occupied, and I would like board to confirm 2025 ARV of 112,080. And the page number 2, I have the description of the subject property. Out of total gross floor area 32,621, 6,677 is field under 1411 Regent Avenue West. And the page number 2, the bottom shows this is fully owner occupied. Page number 3 and 4 is the pictures of the subject property, and page number 5 through page number 6 rent comparables, and the page number 7 and 8 I have the board's decision for the realty, which is already mentioned that the decision was based on net operating income presented by the Assessment and Taxation Department. So that is the end of my presentation. Any questions are welcome. Thank you.
Very much. Mr. Smith, any questions at this time?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And any questions, Mr. Whitbread?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson, any questions, please?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I don't believe I have any questions either, so Mr. Smith, you're up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So again, I'll just mention all of the decisions that were taken at the Board of Revision on realty have been appealed by both sides to the municipal board. So they are under appeal for this property as well as the others that we've dealt with here today, where there were realty appeals. So 1411 Region Avenue West, again, forms part of the realty roll number with 1401 Regent, same site, just located on the west side of that same property. This building is the used auto dealership, focusing on Hondas for Birchwood in that area, built in 1986, and we are looking at a total area of 6,677 square feet. So this is was originally built as a full line auto dealer, but it is obviously too small for those purposes, and is frankly smaller than a lot of used auto dealers as well. So it is it is what it is. Probably not necessarily one that would draw a huge level of interest in the marketplace, given the size of the property and some of the configuration issues. If you look at the photos beginning on page 4, you can see the showroom is raised, so there's steps up to it, getting the vehicles in there. I believe they bring them in from a ramp now on one end of the property. Anyway, you can see the vintage again of the property, 1986, certainly older. And then we have the vehicle service area on page number 5. So pretty straightforward, very small. The site, again shown on page 6, westernmost building on that site is the 1411 that we are dealing with. And the location is the same as the property at 1401. Now, oh, pardon me. The city has placed a higher rental value on this property from 1411. We're looking at 6677 square feet, built in 86. Assessed at 1429. The previous one built in 2005. Just under 26,000 square feet at $13.06 a square foot. Now, yes, economies of scale come into play, but so does the utility and demand for a particular property as well, which in this case would probably go down the scale somewhat from the other properties. So we look at my page number 21. I have 2 figures showing here. One is incorrect. It's meant to be a net rental rate of $12 per square foot, not $12.50, applied to the property for the market rental rate. So as you can see, $66.77 times $12 a square foot gives us our potential annual income. Now, skipping forward, we are not disputing the expenses, and this gives us our final ARV of roughly $96,780, depending on the division.
And it's bang on.
Excellent. That is my presentation, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much. Questions, Mr. Porter?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions, sir?
No, I have none, thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions. Thank you.
And I don't believe I have any questions either. So unless you have summations on either party?
I'm good, thank you.
I'm fine, thank you.
All right, with that being said, here's we've heard all items scheduled, and this hearing now is adjourned. So Thank you both for your presentations this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.